All right, welcome to our channel. We're Candy Adventures. I'm Chris.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we travel and love to fish and be on the water. We camp, we off-road, do a little bit of everything. And today we're going to be reviewing a boat that we've had a lot of questions about, both in person with people and in the comment section. And this is going to be a review of our 2020 Morningstar 498 Cuddy version.
We got this boat back in December of 2020. It was a Christmas present for ourselves. And a lot of channels that do boat reviews, they don't talk about the costs, so we're just gonna cover that right off the bat. Together with the boat, the 60 horsepower Mercury motor, and the Easy Loader single axle galvanized trailer, it was $28,000. This boat had to be shipped in from Taiwan, so maybe the shipping rates differ depending on the dealership, but $28,000 for us, and that included the trailer and motor with the boat.
So this boat is made out of aluminum. The hull itself is made out of, down here on the bottom, is made out of a one-piece piece of 5083 non-heat treated marine grade aluminum, and it's 3 millimeters thick. So you don't have to worry about any problems with the welds or rivets or anything like that, because the bottom of the hull is all one piece. And the rest of the hull, most of the rest of the welds in this thing are made by robots, Asian robots. So that's like the most precise of the most precise thing in the world. I think there are some welds on here that are made by humans.
But it's very few.
Yeah, almost the whole boat is laser welded by robots. So the welds on this thing, I've tried to weld before, I'm horrible at it. This thing looks like beautiful rows of nickels all over this thing with these welds.
The other unique thing about these hulls is that they are able to mold the bottom of the hull to mimic fiberglass cuts and reverse chines on the bottom of the boats. So if you think of like smaller aluminum boats, if you've ever been in one, they're really tippy. But with this company, they're able to put reverse chines on the bottom, which makes it much more stable for an aluminum boat.
It also helps keep you a little bit dry. And as you can see here, there's a little bit of a bow flare. And with this little bit of flared bow mixed with this Cuddy cabin, we stay perfectly dry. Even if it's super rough, you know, we've been boating on plenty of small craft advisory days where it's super rough and we stay perfectly dry. Our gear's up here nice and dry.
Morningstar has a few other versions of this basically same hull, the 498. It's the S, the F, the R, and the A. So we have the S, which is the Sports Cuddy, and then there's the F, which is the Fisher, and that has an open bow with a platform on the front, but the console is in the center. There's another one that is basically the exact same as that version, but it's a side console. And then they have another that looks more like a ski boat, so this is moved up a little bit, and there's a bigger area in the center of the boat for entertainment or family things, but it can still function as a fishing boat too.
So you lose more fishing space with this Cuddy, but if you live somewhere rough or somewhere that gets stormy and a lot of rough water, this thing, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. The other nice thing is, as you see, everything on this boat is very solid. As a former fiberglass boat owner, I've had center console fiberglass boats most of my life. And I love that everything, like all this aluminum grab handles, everything is so solid. And it's all welded here. There's nothing bolted on here. So just every time, you know, it's rough in the ocean and you're rocking around or you're grabbing it at the dock, everything is just so solid. I walk on this rail all the time, all the rails around the boat, everything is solid. And coming from a fiberglass boat where a lot of the interior components, the center console might be a plastic piece or another fiberglass, it's so nice to be able to grab, tie a rope to everything.
So the other main benefit of this being aluminum is that you have amazing fuel efficiency because it's super light, and you can tow it with a lot more vehicles than maybe you could a heavy fiberglass or steel boat.
This is how many pounds it weighs, which is super light. In the motor itself, that Mercury 60 inline 4-cylinder 4-stroke Mercury weighs about 250 pounds. And then, you know, you got an Easy Loader single axle trailer. The total package, when we're ready to take this out full of 15 gallons of gasoline and a full cooler and 2 of us, this thing ends up weighing right about 2,500 pounds, which puts it in line for being towed by almost anything. Even our clapped out 2-wheel drive V6 98 Ford F-150 yanks this thing up and down the little mountains here in Guam, no problem. So let's hop in and take a look at some of these inside measurements and some of the inside accoutrement.
What was that word?
Accoutrement.
What is that?
It's like accessories and extras.
Accoutrement?
Accoutrement.
I've never heard that.
Oh my God, I believe you.
All right, so I am 5'8", little less for reference. So I want to show you how tall the gunnels are for the legs. So up towards the seats, the gunnels are a little taller. So this is about mid-thigh. And then towards the back, it gets just a tiny bit shorter. And it's going to be like right above the knee. But this is still plenty, especially if you're on rocky water. I do not feel like I'm ever going to fall out of this boat. These gunnels are a really nice height for that. And then they do have these bars on the side too. If it is rough or choppy, they're right here. Also, just sit back here and just see how low I am still in the boat. Like bass fishing boats, I've always felt a little nervous because those gunnels are so short. But this, I still have like a good foot from my butt to the top side of the gunnel. I don't feel like I'm gonna fall out. And you really don't get wet even on this part. When it's really rough, maybe there's a bit of a backsplash, but the height of these gunnels really reduce the amount of spray that you're gonna get in the back seats. And then in the front seats, you're a little higher, obviously. You can see most of my lower body, so the gunnels aren't gonna go up past on these front seats. However, you do have a couple options if you do feel a little nervous when it's rough or anything. You have handlebars here. That is really cool. Chris and I absolutely love this feature on this boat, and it also has footrests as well, which is, I didn't know really if I would like it, and now that we've had this boat for 8 months, we love it. So even if the gunnel doesn't go all the way up the side of my waist on the front seats, I still feel perfectly fine up here. So one of the benefits that people normally shoot for center consoles is being able to stand up and have a better perspective for hitting reefs or sandbars or just looking out past the bow to see water depth and any obstructions. And you can accomplish the same thing in this boat without it being a center console. So these seats have little steps on them, and with these added handles and just this on the Cuddy, I can see pretty far out in front of this boat. So for the hull beam width, it is 2 meters or approximately over 6 feet, but on the interior you can see that I'm a little under 5'8", and it's almost exactly the length of my body. But on the outside, it's a total of 6.5 feet. The capacity for people on this boat is 5 people, and for the rating for the horsepower on this boat, it's 40 to 90 horsepower. Ours came with the 60 with the $28,000 package on it. So with this 60 horsepower motor, all of our fishing gear, coolers, full tank of gas, and 2 people, this motor goes about 30 miles per hour with this boat. You probably could get a couple more miles per hour on like ideal conditions, trimmed up a little bit, but it's about 30. I think where you might have an issue is if you have 4 people plus all of your equipment and you're trying to water ski, this boat might not be able to get out as quickly, but it's fine with the 2 people that we have. It's a little slow, but it's great. It still accomplishes the job. So in the middle of filming this review, it spontaneously downpoured. So we threw up the bimini top real quick, and this is a perfect example of why we wanted this Cuddy as opposed to the open bow, the angler version. This is because when it started pouring, we immediately threw the camera under here and all of our camera equipment. Our towels are still dry, phones, wallets, keys, all of that. And if we didn't have the bimini top up, Chris and I would still be able to sit under here if we didn't want to get wet with all of our gear. So there's a ton of space under here. I mean, really the bean bag would be amazing because you could just lounge and you could fit 2 people under here, a large dog, but anything just to keep out of the rain and all of the waves if it's rough. I mean, this is amazing. It hasn't gotten wet this whole time. And it worked out well that this just randomly happened during filming this review. It's also worth mentioning up here that there's little tiny storage compartments. It's just a little shelf with a lip on both sides. So this is for all of our small gear or quick access things we always keep up here. And then on this side we always roll up towels and kind of cram them in there as well. But it's just other options for storage to be able to put small things that you want quick access to that's not in like a lockbox or anything like that. Okay, so back to this review after that torrential downpour. We can see the bimini top now. We were able to put it up during that rainstorm, and first thing to notice is how tall it is. For those people that are vertically gifted, you will have plenty of headroom. My fingers don't even touch. Plenty of headspace for everyone. even when you're up standing, like we mentioned before, Chris and I love riding standing on this boat, you still have a 1.5 to 2 feet almost above your head for this bimini top to ride. It's definitely out of the way. I don't feel restricted in movement with this bimini top, except for when it's down. It does cover the rod holders that are built in to the boat, but other than that, it's nice and convenient and really high. All right, so we don't have any of the straps attached, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let this fall forward and we'll go through the interior of the boat. Nice solution to a temporary problem. We aren't sponsored for this boat review. We're not getting paid for it or anything. The boat looks like it does because this is how we use it with a bunch of our junk in it. Our water skis, the tow rope, the cooler, the camera equipment, life vest, beer, all of it's in here so you can see how we've utilized this space. It's not clean, but it is functional. So you'll see it in that aspect. Main thing is storage, right? Everybody wants storage, and we already talked about the Cuddy and how it's this big open dry space, but there's additional storage options within this boat. So the first one is this back bench over here. So the back bench does not come with every option of the boat. This is just what we have in ours, so I'll go ahead and show it to you. Both of these seats lift up, and it's the aluminum 3mm floor on the bottom, the plate. And this is just an open unit. It doesn't have seals, but it keeps most of the water out unless it's a torrential downpour. But it's a really big space, essentially the width of the boat. And behind the seats, there's no wall, so you actually have storage that goes back under here. You also have access to the battery switch, the fuel lines, the fuel filter, bilge. All of that can be reached just through here, or you can even open this up and go underneath. It's just one thin lip on the seat frame. Moving up towards the bow underneath the seats in the front, we have compartments underneath. So this is a smaller storage compartment underneath the passenger seat, and it's about the same size as this metal pedestal that is on, and we use this for all of our chumming gear and everything else that we don't know how to organize, but it's too big to fit anywhere else, so we just shove it in there. And then on the driver's side pedestal, you actually have storage for lure boxes. So you have this bungee system that keeps them in, and it comes with these. We did not buy these. It came with all of this with the compartment, which is awesome. And it's accessible from both sides, though the center is obviously the easiest to access in a crunch. And this bungee seems to work pretty well with keeping those lure containers secure. We've never had any of them slip out or anything. All right, so now we're gonna move through this Cuddy towards the bow and open this magic treehouse door that's on the front. This is to access the anchor locker storage on the very front of the boat. So this flaps open and has a rubber seal around the edges. And then in here is a pretty deep storage compartment for your anchor and your line. There's also another hatch inside just behind this if you didn't want to open this magic treehouse portal, that you have a smaller hatch on the inside to access this. But because this Cuddy is usually full of our gear, this is not as practical as this. Going around seems to be the easiest way.
All right, Chris here again. So now you have to look at me. We decided I would do the cons list because I am Walter Matthau. I am becoming a grumpy old man, and I am going to tell you all the things wrong with this boat. So get ready, Morningstar, because it's coming. All right, so the first thing about this boat that we do not like is the reboarding ladder. This is mostly not Morningstar's fault, but ours. This is a reboarding step, and I'll show you how it works. It actually works really well. The little bungee cord holds it down, and this falls down. And as you can see, that's a perfect angle to bring you from the sandbar, from somewhere shallow.
Do you want me to really walk up it?
Yeah.
Are you zoomed in or zoomed out? I'll really do it.
And it works perfectly. You can actually use the motor as a little thing, and it is a perfect step out of shallow water. Where this does not work is if you've been spearfishing or diving or snorkeling or swimming. re-entering the boat after water skiing, this ladder is the completely wrong angle, and you have to tuck your knees up under your chin to climb back into the boat, and it's actually just easier to use the other side of the swim platform. Knees to chest, and then you can stand up. But that's not so much a ding on the boat, it's just a realization is that this is a reboarding ladder for shallow water, and don't try to climb up here with all your scuba gear, because that's not what this is for. All right, before I get too carried away with all this negativity, I'm going to show you my favorite part of this boat, and then we'll continue on with this cons list. So when you hop up on the swim platform, the best part about this whole boat is this is basically the aft lavatory. As you're underway and you're enjoying the day and you're staying hydrated on your favorite water or Capri Sun or a cold beer, when Elizabeth is driving the boat and we're trolling at, let's say, 4 to 7 miles an hour, and I'll let her know, hey, I'm going to pee real quick. I put my hand on the motor, and I can stand comfortably on the swim platform, and I can urinate, which is amazing. You feel like you own the world when you're staring into the abyss and you get to urinate from here, and then you don't have one of those weird little under Cuddy cabin porta potties where there's, you know, it's nasty, or you're trying to pee over the side of the boat, and then you have to be very conscious of which way the wind's blowing because it'll blow back into the boat. I've heard, not from personal experience, but I've heard that the urine can blow in the wrong direction that you want it to. So this is super nice. And as you're trolling, you just can pee in any direction you want to. So love that part of this boat, and it's on both sides, so if you got a buddy, you can pee together. All right, so let's get back into things that I don't like about this boat. So the first big fish we hooked in this boat was about a 20-pound barracuda, and the pin locks that fit in the bottom of these rods go in here, and they lock into a pin inside of the rod holder, just like that, so I can't twist it back and forth. What happened was the fish hit it, and that pin inside that keeps it from twisting back and forth broke on the first good-sized fish we caught. And it makes the pole spin around like this while you're trying to reel it in. With a big fish, that can really be a nightmare. So I had to fix that with a bolt from Home Depot, as you can see here, and I just JB welded the stupid thing back in place, and it's working fine now, but that is one of my first real gripes with the boat, is those pin locks are really, really weak in there, and they used a really low-grade aluminum probably instead of a nice piece of stainless steel or something. Staying with the theme of being in the back of the boat, there's 3 drain plugs back here, which we'll show you in a second, and they're great. They are really large sized, so that if you ever get any debris inside of your bilge, you know, it'll flow through. I've had some smaller, you know, brass standard size bilge plugs, and if there's any leaf litter or anything like that inside your bilge, a lot of times that'll clog up. So when you're trying to drain out your boat from a big rainstorm, stuff's constantly getting clogged. So these are bigger, which is really nice, except I can't find these things anywhere on planet Earth. They're a non-standard part size, and it's difficult because with Morningstar, it's primarily a Taiwan-based company. I can't find anything online. I had to beg the dealer if we could get some more from the boats they hadn't sold yet. So the non-standard fitting size is my next big point, is these plugs are great, but I think they're a proprietary plug from Morningstar. It's one of my bigger gripes is that I wish they used more standardized fittings. Where they did use a standardized fitting is this gas filler. This is a Perco gas cap. If you ever had this thing break or anything like that, you know Perco is one of the biggest brand names in boat fittings and fixtures. It's got a part number right on it. This thing ever broke, you could order another one like that. Where these drain plugs, because I lose them all the time because I'm a moron, you have to beg, borrow, and steal to try to get another one. So I wish there was more standardized fittings on this boat. So I'll show you right here. Most of this boat is put together with rivets, which I'm sure in the factory really speeds things up and saves time and saves money. But as someone who's trying to fix things on the boat, everything is riveted together, so you gotta drill it out, and you're gonna have to have a rivet gun that's appropriately sized to put this stuff back. This is a knock. It keeps the price down where it's in our price range. I just wish that that was different. I wish that it came with stainless steel bolts and screws instead of rivets. And when we installed our fish finder, that immediately became apparent was everything, when I was trying to take panels apart, these interior panels here where the gunnels are, these are all put in with rivets. And I didn't want to drill any of these out. I don't have a rivet gun here. I don't know what size rivets those are. So I tried to flex panels and move things around so I could run my fish finder wires and GPS wires up here to the helm. Just wish that was different. Now, I'm glad that the boat's a nice cheap price point, but I wish that that was more accessible, which leads me into my next dislike of the boat. There are no access ports anywhere on this boat. As someone who's owned fiberglass boats my whole life, there's always, you know, 6, 8, 10, 12 inch round access ports that screw in along the boat where you can access wiring and fittings. Most stuff on this boat is easy to get to, but the things that are not are hidden by these riveted in panels along the side. So if you need to do something with your steering cables or install another GPS or something like that, running cables is a pain because everything's riveted in. It'd be really nice if there was some access ports. My one last gripe with this boat is that the bait platform that comes with this here in the back, as you can see in this footage here, it shakes around a lot. This is where it's an imperfect fit, and there's no plastic spacer in there to keep it from wiggling. And when it wiggles, it kind of eats the paint away, and it elongates and oblongs the hull because it's just metal on metal as you're riding around. And it's the same thing that happens in our rod holders. I wish there was a plastic insert inside these rod holders, so as the poles are dragging in there, that it wasn't straight onto the aluminum eating the paint away. Okay, so back here in the middle of the boat by the gas filler cap, there is a hole, and this is where our bait cutting platform goes. This would be a perfect hole for a ski pylon. I have a big question. I can't figure this out. I've looked on the internet. I've asked dealers. Dear Morningstar, if you watch this, can I put a ski pylon in this hole so that my ski attachment for water sports is up here? And if so, do I just need this straight pylon, which would be amazing, or do you need the style that has to go down, make an A-frame, and it screws into the other side of the boat as stability, as a stabilizers? Because we ski off this boat a lot, but it's really irritating where you have to hook in because it's really inconvenient. You got to get in the back of the boat, reach underneath the boat, and clip into the trailer tie downs. I am nervous that this is not strong enough, but it looks like it is. I just hate to break our new boat because the bank owns this, not us. So dear Morningstar, we would love it if you released some sort of ski pylon that you could put in here and ski from this boat more easily, because I think this is a great family boat and it would really benefit from that addition. So I really enjoy the metal floor. Everything in here you can just hose off. It's all aluminum. The one thing, they put a mat down here, which is non-skid and nice, it keeps the sun down, but what they did not do from the factory is up here on the dash. We actually bought a piece of this material from Home Depot that's supposed to go inside countertops to keep knives and forks from rattling around and tools and toolboxes. And we didn't glue it, we just cut it to the size and put it, because from the factory it comes with nothing here. I do wish from the factory they had some little mat or an option for a mat up here to keep things from sliding around, but for $5, we cut a piece out from Home Depot. The material itself gets soft in the sunlight and it just kind of naturally sticks to the paint. Works out amazing, but I do wish from the factory that it did come included with that. So really, all in all, I don't really have that many real negative things to say about this boat. The hull itself, the meat and potatoes of this boat is awesome. This Mercury motor has been awesome. The small little niggles and problems that we've had with this boat are minor, and if it keeps the price down and if it was to cost more to put bolts instead of rivets, I would rather have it with rivets, and as time goes, I'll slowly replace things with standard size fittings and with bolts as need be. It's only small gripes that I have with this boat. The meat and potatoes of this boat, the hull of it, it has not failed us. It doesn't leak water. It's easy to clean. This thing's been amazing. Highly recommend this boat.
All right, so this has been our review of the Morningstar Sports Cuddy 498S. We're gonna go ahead and push this girl out and go trolling, maybe watch some dolphins.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. We're gonna get out of here and make what's left of our weekend up. Go check it out if you're in the market for a boat. If not, don't, but thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.